Mr. Ryder, I want to start by talking about the Lacrone Loop. Now, when you got on the Lacrone Loop, you saw that it was narrow, right?
No, not at the beginning of the trail. The high part of the trail gets steep and narrow, Parker, and I stayed by the Welcome Center.
But the trail is narrow?
Oh, yes, generally it's narrow. We were hiking over there.
And you noticed that there are overgrown roots in the path, right?
Again, that's the second half of the trail or so, yes.
And there were steep drop-offs right next to you, weren't there, Mr. Ryder?
No, not right next to me. We were just by the Welcome Center. That's later on in the trail.
Is it your testimony today that there weren't steep drop-offs next to you?
On the Lacrone Loop, there are steep drop-offs, not where we were hiking.
So there are steep drop-offs on the Lacrone Loop?
Yes, like I said.
And when you were hiking this trail, you and Parker started arguing, right?
Yes?
Now, Parker started complaining to you, right?
Yeah, she was a little tired.
Well, she actually screamed that she hated you, right, Mr. Ryder?
Yeah.
She told you that Corbin would never make her hike. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, Corbin wouldn't even let her leave the house, so she was a little scared.
She screamed at you that Corbin would never make her hike.
Yeah, it was typical teenage stuff.
And after this, you and Parker started jabbing at each other a little bit with that hiking staff, right?
But no, I didn't jab at Parker. She playfully hit my back a little bit, but that was it.
Well, after that, you grabbed that parking staff out of her hand, didn't you?
Oh, sure, when she started jabbing me, I took it from her, yeah.
And on this trail, Mr. Ryder, Parker actually told you that she wanted to turn back, didn't she?
Right, I encouraged her to hike a little bit longer, but said if she wanted to, we could turn back.
That's yes to my question. Parker wanted to turn back,
Yeah.
and you told her she had to keep going, right?
Yeah, I encouraged her to keep going, but said if she needed to, we could turn back.
Now, after this hike, you claimed that you and Parker went back to the campground.
It was a little later on in the day, but yes.
And on direct examination, you told us that you fell asleep, right? And that when you woke up, Parker was gone.
Yes.
So you don't know why Parker left.
I don't know what happened, though. I just woke up and Parker wasn't there.
Well, Mr. Ryder, Your Honor, I'll be reading a portion of the defendant's interrogation onto the record. Pursuant to the stipulations, the interrogation can be read onto the record by either party.
Your Honor, I asked the opposing counsel to let me know which portions, because it's still subject to evidentiary rules as well.
Certainly.
Approaching opposing counsel, will you please the interrogation? Would Your Honor like to praise the Honor?
Please.
I'll be referring to page 13, lines 407 through 413. Right. 405, Chesney. You told me at the campsite that Parker left the camp at some point. When was that? 407, Ryder. I don't know, it was getting dark, she was angry again, wanted to leave. 409, and you let her go? Didn't you think it was a bit dangerous to let her leave at night?
And that was a different time. That was while I was cooking dinner. Parker was just pacing around.
So, Mr. Ryder, you're telling us that Parker left this campground at some point, and you knew about it?
She was always in my sight. My social worker said that when a teenager's acting up, it's good to have some breathing room. So I saw her, but she left the campsite while I was making dinner.
So she left the campsite, right? And you're saying that she came back.
Yes, she came back for dinner and then we laid down.
And then it was after you fell asleep that Parker disappeared.
Yes.
Now, you said that when you woke up, you didn't know what time it was.
No, I just know it was dark outside.
And you said you started searching for her, right?
Yes.
But, Mr. anyone, did you?
No, I was just looking for Parker.
You didn't ask Corbin for help, did you?
I didn't have cell service, so I just looked everywhere we had been on the trails.
You didn't ask Armani Rodriguez, the campground owner, for help looking for Parker?
No, ma'am, like I said, I knew exactly where we had been on the trails, so I just looked everywhere I could.
You didn't ask Kelly Dews, another hiker at the campgrounds, for help?
I didn't see Kelly Dews at that point, no.
Well, you could have knocked on one of the other campsites and asked for help.
We weren't near the other campsites, no.
In fact, Mr. Ryder, you didn't tell a single person on the 14th that your daughter was missing.
No, I just looked throughout the night the best I could. I couldn't find her anywhere.
Now, I want to talk about what you did do later that night.
Okay.
You remember going to Remy Bouchard's cafe, right?
Sure.
That was around 3 a.m.
Yes.
And while you were at that cafe, you submitted a life insurance policy, didn't you?
No, I submitted the policy earlier in the day. Corbin said she was fed up with medical expenses and we couldn't borrow the car until that was handled, so I sent that earlier.
Well, you did fill out a life insurance policy?
Yes, it was early on July 14th before we left for the campsite.
And you would recognize that life insurance policy if I showed it to you today?
Sure.
Approaching opposing counsel with previously marked Exhibit 25. Approaching the witness with the same.
Thank you.
I'm handing the bench courtesy copy as well.
Thank you.
You recognize this document, right, Mr. Ryder?
Yes?
This is the life insurance policy increase that you filled out.
Yes.
Nothing was changed or altered.
No?
State offers Exhibit 25.
Objection, Your Honor, pursuant to Rule 403, confusing the issues, if I may be heard.
You may.
Your Honor, today's case is one in which the mens rea is knowing. No part of the crime the state alleged has to do with any sort of motive, and state hasn't argued any sort of motive during opening statements or given us any notice of said motive that they intend to argue. The only reason they could be offering this document is to try to show that Mr. Ryder should financially gain from Parker's death. That's confusing the issues at the heart of today's trial.
Your Honor, in order for something to qualify under Rule 603, it must be substantially more prejudicial than probative. If I may proffer,
You may.
this document will show that Mr. Ryder started a life insurance increase before they went on the hike, and that at 3:12 a.m. on July 15th, he submitted a life insurance increase policy from $10,000 to $200,000. Now, in order for opposing counsel to argue that this is confusing the issues, this is not confusing the issues. This is an issue of weight, not admissibility for this document.
Response, Your Honor? Your Honor, we believe it is an issue of admissibility. Opposing counsel just asked the witness if he filled out a life insurance policy. He said yes. The only reason they'd be offering this document is to show some sort of motive that isn't a part of the crime that's being alleged. It's one of those issues that will cause the members of the jury to convict Mr. Ryder for who he is and not what he did.
Your Honor, this life insurance policy was filled out during the weekend of July 14th. This is not something that he did before that weekend, and so an action that he took on that weekend is substantially probative to this case.
Again, I appreciate counsel's argument with respect to seemingly on its face, this insurance policy would be going more to a motive of some intention to act as opposed to this charge that the state has brought in voluntary manslaughter. But I suppose in the realm of what is probative, that it could certainly be probative that one may take a flippant or nonchalant attitude towards a child based upon some financial gain. Maybe something bad happens, maybe it doesn't. Do I think that probative value is substantially outweighed by the jury being misled and not understanding what the actual charge is? I don't know that it rises to that level. So I'm going to admit it and rest assured with respect to the jury instructions that will be given by the court, that it will be made clear that the state is not pursuing an intention to act, and the jury is to decide what weight, if any, to assign this particular document.
Yes, Your Honor.
You made the document submitted over objection. You may proceed.
Yes, sir. Now, Mr. Ryder, I'd like to direct your attention to where it says application start time and date.
Where is it?
At the very beginning, the first line.
Okay.
It says that you started filling out this policy at 10:42 a.m. on July 14th, correct?
Right, Corbin wouldn't let us borrow the car until it was handled, so I started.
So you're saying that Corbin made you fill out this policy, Mr. Ryder?
Corbin was calling me nonstop about Parker's medical expenses. She was really angry about it, so I just did whatever it is she wanted to do so I could get the car.
But you heard Corbin testify today, right? You were in trial the whole time?
Yes?
And Corbin didn't say anything about a phone call she made to you on July 14th.
I don't believe you asked her about this policy, ma'am.
Well, your attorneys had the opportunity to cross-examine Ms. Dallas, right?
I didn't hear you, no.
You're telling us that your attorneys didn't cross-examine Ms.
No,
Dallas?
I didn't hear anything about the policy.
Right, well, your attorneys didn't ask Ms. Dallas about this policy either, did they?
Like I just said, I didn't hear anything.
And you submitted this life insurance increase at 3:12 a.m. on July 15th. Is that correct?
No, I clicked the button that morning. That's when I submitted it. That's how I got the car.
What? Is that your signature at the bottom, Mr. Ryder?
It's an automatic signature, yes.
And can you look at the date next to that signature?
Yes?
It says July 15th, doesn't it, Mr. Ryder?
Right, I mean, I reconnected to Wi-Fi at the cafe when I was trying to track Parker's phone. It must have finished submission then.
So you signed the policy on July 15th,
No, ma'am, it's automatically generated. I didn't do any of that. I just did that morning.
and July 15th is after your daughter went missing.
Yes.
And can you look at the policy increase amount for me, Mr. Ryder?
Okay.
Now, this policy, it increased to $200,000, didn't it?
Yes, Corbin just wanted the highest amount possible, so I just clicked that and we were on our way.
So, to be clear, you increased Parker's life insurance from $10,000 to $200,000.
Right.
Now, Mr. Ryder, I want to talk about something else that you did around 3 a.m. on July 15th.
Okay.
So, you remember writing some thoughts down on a napkin, right, while you were at that cafe?
Right, I was worried the police would take me away for a parole violation before I could find Parker.
And once again, this is after you claim your daughter went missing.
Yes, when I was looking for her.
And you would recognize that napkin if I showed it to you today?
Sure.
Approaching closing counsel, you previously marked exhibit 26. Approaching witness with the same.
Thank you.
Can you rest the case? Mr. Ryder, this is your handwriting, right?
Yes.
You wrote all the statements on this document.
Yes.
State offers exhibit 26 into evidence.
Without objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Ryder, I want to direct your attention to the section labeled 911. Underneath this section, you write, "I'm so sorry this happened. It was all my fault." Did I read that correctly?
Right, I mean, I knew I was violating my parole by taking Parker camping. I didn't want the police to detain me before I could find her. I was trying to think what I could say so they'd let me help them find her.
And you crossed that one out, right?
Yes.
Said, "I was just so angry."
Yeah, I was fed up with Corbin. I wanted to take Parker away from there. That's why I broke the parole.
You crossed that one out too, Mr. Ryder, right?
I did.
And underneath that you wrote, "I didn't mean to do it."
Yes, like I said, I didn't want to break the parole, but I wasn't going to have Parker stay with Corbin anymore.
You crossed that one out too.
Yes.
Underneath that you wrote, "missing."
Yeah, I mean, I figured because Parker was missing, they would wait to detain me. They'd let me help them find her if I just told them that.
You circled "missing."
Right.
Mr. Ryder, you never called the police that night, did you?
No, I was worried they would take me away before I could find her.
You just went back to bed, right?
No, I never went back to bed.
So you're telling us you stayed up all night and waited for the police to find you,
I stayed up all night looking for Parker.
but you never called the police.
As I said, no, I thought they would take me away.
Objection, Your Honor, to asked and answered.
And when you were arrested by Detective Chesney, You told Detective Chesney that Parker went missing.
Yes, I said I might be violating my parole, but my daughter's missing, and he took me away before I could ever help find her.
And that's the story you told us on direct examination as well. Right, Mr. Ryder?
That's what happened.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect?
No redirect exam.